Can you hear me good, by the way?
All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us today on Saturday Cup of Joe. It's early. It's great. If you're breathing, you should be thanking God. I'm just saying it's such a wonderful day. We're going to have a fabulous guest on today. I'm so glad you guys have joined us. You're going to learn something new, which is good. Knowledge is power. And the reason why we do Saturday Cup of Joe, because it's medicine for the entrepreneur. And I'm so glad you guys are going to join us today. I'm not sure where our fellow co-host Bill is right now. Like I said, he couldn't get in last week. I don't know what was going on, but hey, I need you guys to send me a text just to make sure that everything is working. We hear you loud and clear. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So great. So with that being said, let's get started. Today, we're going to talk to a gentleman who knows all about marketing. He has taken a photography business to the next level. He's doing amazing things. He's a past pastor, because he knows how to talk to some people, right? He knows how to trigger that emotion. He knows how to get people to listen. And I just learned he's from the Ohio area. And not only that, he's got a few books out there, folks, that you might be interested in. So take your notes today, sit back, relax, and let's have fun with Saturday Cup of Joe. And I want to introduce our guest, our awesome guest, Mr. Paul Donihue. What's going on, man?
Hey, man, it's early, and I just had my cup of coffee, I had my cup of Joe.
Yes, you're like, I have my cup of Joe.
I'm running out, so you're going to have to, whatever.
Oh, my goodness. Wow, it's amazing, man. I'm so glad and grateful that you're coming on the show here. I have been looking at your credentials. You have a lot going on, and your story is amazing. And what I want to do, because when I first came on, I told you there's different questions that I'll give you and some that are going to throw you off. But what made you start in your marketing business?
Well, actually, it started a long time ago.
Okay.
I pastored for 23 years, and I left the pastorate, took a year sabbatical, and God had other things for me. And actually, if you don't mind, let me tell my story a little bit.
Go ahead. This is what we're here for.
Because it's a little weird, a little wild. I probably started selling after I left the pastorate. But I sold something that blow your mind, okay? And that has really helped me. We sold cemetery property and funerals for 10 years.
Oh, wow.
I led the entire company for 10 years, okay? And I started as a sales guy, went to a assistant manager, went to a sales manager, went to a district manager, and one day walked in and said, I've had it with death and dying, and I'm out of here. But I was there 10 years, and I believe that if you can sell cemetery property to anybody, you can sell anything almost, So,
I was thinking that same thing. If you could sell that, then wow, you can pretty much sell anything.
Well, I'll tell you what, I'm not bragging, I'm really not, but we led the company, and we sold millions of dollars of cemetery property in 10 years.
Right.
Okay. And that was the start. And then we left and started our own business. Actually, marketing, this kind of marketing that we're talking about now is late in the game for us. But we started a company that was a merchant service company, my partner and I, who is my oldest son, in 2005. All right. And in 2008, we expanded into consulting.
Right.
In 2010, I started a new company for photography. The original company went nationwide in less than 2 years. That's really unheard of. Okay. And then our photography business, once we went full time in 2012, we were in 3 states in 7 months. We're now in 4 states. And we've had people want us to go nationwide on that, and I'm not willing to do that at my age.
Right. Real quick, and I'm gonna jump in real quick because I have seen a lot of photographers and their business completely plump.
Yeah, the average pro lasts 11 months.
Yes. And what are they doing wrong? Because believe it or not, we have some photographers in our audience, and they might see this. What are they doing wrong to make their business not last? I mean, I'm sure you are. See, I knew I have something for you there, but come on, you starting to smile like, yeah. So what are they doing wrong that is making their business completely plump at the end of that 11 months?
Well, I consult with a lot of a lot of photographers, and there's probably three things. Number one, photographers are really poor at business. Okay, you got to be a good business guy. A long time ago, a friend of mine said, "Paul, you're a great guy, but you gotta run your business as a business." That's 10 years ago. I've never forgotten that. Number two, which will bring hopefully to a subject that you and I are going to talk about. And that is that you got to think differently. All right. And that's a key major thing that I talk to people about. And the third thing is they need to change venues. Everybody that goes into photography goes into weddings and seniors and boutique and that kind of stuff. You're not going to make it today in that area. I don't care what the labs tell you. You're not going to make it. The general person isn't going to make it there. We found venues that we make a ton of money on some other venues. Okay. Right. And that's what you have to be willing to do different things. We now have, just for an aside, we started writing a full turnkey system for pro photographers 3 years ago. It's going nationwide starting in October. Wow. Yeah. And we've had people say you can't make money doing what you're doing. And I said to a friend of mine yesterday that they should look at my books. They'll find out it's different.
Right. When they say you can't do something right there, that's an indication. Well, it's either happened or it's going to happen now since you said that.
Yeah. Well, all you have to do, if you follow the system,
right?
If you follow the system, and that's true of anything, if you follow the system, if it's good, will make you money. The problem is a lot of people don't want to follow the system.
Wow, that's funny you say that because we used to preach that over and over again. Systems do not fail, but people do.
Yeah. Well, you told me that you had a product a couple of years ago, a year or so ago, and I bet you there are people that never followed that system and complained about it. Okay, I have people who have come to me who have bought our system and said, it's not working. And I said, well, what about this? What about that? Well, we don't do it that way. You know what? If you do it our way, I guarantee you're going to make money. Guarantee.
Right.
And by the way, interesting thing aside is we have an absolute no push policy when it comes to that system.
Right.
And so our photographers, we tell our photographers, you don't push anybody to do anything, but if you do it right, you'll make a lot of money.
That is awesome.
And so I think that's key. You got to follow the systems today.
Right. So let's shift gears here a little bit. So, what is the characteristics factors behind everything you've done in your life? Because, you said you've been in this business for a while. So tell me a little bit about that.
What? Okay. Well, I go by, that's an interesting question. I go by a couple philosophies of life. Okay. Right. And the first one is this. The first one is you and I have taught people over the years. I taught people for years. I wrote in a book one time, the philosophy, think outside the box. Okay. We've all heard that, right? Right. Well, listen, I paid $5,000 to hear somebody tell me that that's not true. And I began to realize that absolutely you cannot think outside the box. Do you believe that?
Well, there's different ways to think, actually, but come on, I want to hear your point of view on that, brother.
Okay. All right. Well, to think outside the box is absolutely impossible. Let me tell you why. When you think outside the box, you're just thinking inside a bigger box.
I love it.
Okay. Now let me explain what I'm talking about. When you live inside, when you live outside the box, you're living inside another box because you haven't given up your prejudices, you haven't given up your preconceived notions, you haven't given up your ideas. Let me give you for an example. You know, you might say, yeah, I'm the positive thinker, but I can't afford that. I can't do that. I can't, you know. So what we tell people and what I tell my clients is this: if you're going to do something, you got to throw the stupid box away. So, and if you grab a hold of it, I paid $5,000 for that concept. And that literally changed our business. Literally changed our business, made us thousands of dollars. Okay. And the reason is because when you throw the box away, everything is possible. You start considering the possibility of doing things you've never done before. And you start planning and saying, yeah, I can do that. I got to figure out a way to do that.
Right.
That's what I do as an entrepreneur. I look at something, I don't say I can't do that. I'll say, yeah, if I want to do that, let's do it. Let's figure out a way. So that's one thing.
Right. How can I? I love that. That's nice. That's
throw the box away. I mean, and really, frankly, when I see marketers and when I see business people, when I see photographers, the problem is they're not throwing the box away.
Mm.
The very first thing we teach is you got to throw the stupid box away. Second thing that motivates me is something that has made me thousands of dollars. That while other people go home, is one concept. Lori Jones, in her book Jesus CEO, has written a book. She was an advertising agent, okay, and she wanted to create her own business. And she said that everywhere she went to get financing, she got stopped. Finally, her mom said, "Listen, you're not going to get financing. Why don't you go back to your old company?" And she said, "One day I walked out of a finance company who had just told me, no, we're not going to give you financing." And she said, "Wowsy, WOWSE. You know what that means? With or without someone else."
There you go. Come on.
Okay, so I live by wowsy. With or without someone else, I'm going to get it done. And so that's the key. That's one key is, I'm getting all pink for some reason, but wowsy has to be not only the fact that you and I have to throw the box away, but we have to be willing to do it no matter what. Okay. The third thing that I go by is something that's made me thousands of dollars, and that's just one more. When everybody else goes home, when everybody else quits, you know what? I just make one more phone call.
Woo! That is so true. Come on, man.
Just one more contact. I literally made thousands of dollars when people that work for me went home because I made one contact. I'll tell you what, I ended up in somebody's home at 11 o'clock at night and sold them a mausoleum crypt, okay? Because I made one stinking phone call, I made thousands of dollars.
Oh,
my other people went home.
Right, they were done. Like I was saying in the beginning, it's Labor Day, blah, blah, blah. That doesn't mean anything. Come on. You know what I mean?
But you got to understand, I'm a little bit different generation. Right. Because a lot of people today, the younger generation, they want to do their thing with their family, and I think family is important. It's got to be important. But I'll tell you what, if you want to build a business, you got to build the stinking business. You got to focus on the business too. Sorry about that. I'm getting preaching now.
No, you're doing good because sometimes we get in a point where we're just relaxed and we're just going with the flow, and then we forget, you've got to do different things other than what they're doing, because other than that, you're pretty much going to be fall in the pack, like we were talking about a while ago, you know?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I tell my clients, if you want to make it today, you got to be outrageous. You got to be outrageous. You got to lead the pack. And you know what? A lot of people don't lead the pack. They want to be a part of the pack. Well, you know what? That's a great recipe for failure, because the average business today makes it less than 2 years. 80% of businesses today are failing within 2 years. 80% of the marketers today never make much money. You know that as well as I do.
I know that. I know it. You have to be different. You have to stand out. You know, look, that's why I'm here Saturday Cup of Joe. I'm doing something different. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Right. And the key is so you got to find your niche, and you got to end up putting it all there. And you got to be a business person. Okay. Hopefully we can get to talking a little bit about that, because I see so much that some of the people do that help them to fail and not be successful. There's one other thing I think that is important, and that is called a BHAG. Okay, a BHAG is a big, hairy, audacious goal. Now that's not my statement. That's by Jim Collins. All right, in his book Good to Great. But you know, let me give you the best example I can think of for a BHAG. Kennedy, when he was elected in 1960, he gathered his people around him, and he says, you know, they talked about what they're going to do, and he said, we need to send a man to the moon. Okay. And so instead of just being in a committee and they decide and they work their way doing that, he goes to the nation and he says, in 10 years, we're going to have a man on the moon. They couldn't even do it then. They didn't have the technology to do it. They didn't have the science to do it. 10 years to the day almost, they had a man on the moon.
That's true.
Okay. So when you make a big, hairy, audacious goal, you got to tell people about it. You got to say, hey, this is what we're going to do. And when we do it, you know, because then you become accountable.
Oh, yeah.
So I tell people you got a big, hairy, audacious goal. I named a big goal that I have to some of the people that I know. And I think they thought, you're crazy. You can't do that. Yeah, you can, but you got to work hard to make it happen. Okay, so
that's true. So let's go ahead and talk about this new game in sales. You know, that's
okay.
Let's talk about that. The new game, you know, in sales.
Well, there's an old game and a new game. The old game is all seller oriented. The new game is buyer oriented. Okay,
nice.
Okay, so here's the difference. We've been taught all these years to worry about the selling cycle.
Right.
And that means I'm gonna try to convince you to buy whatever I want you to buy. Okay. The old car salesman thing. Okay.
Right. Do you still see people doing that?
Oh yeah. Yeah, they still do that, you know. Well, you know, and it doesn't work because people have gotten smart. Right. You know, they've got the internet. They can find out stuff that, you know, so it doesn't work. Well, the new game is where instead of you becoming a guy that says, hey, Lim, you got to buy this because blah, 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 you know, and really I'm thinking I just need that $10,000 or whatever it is, you know, the new game is I'm going to find out what you really need, and I'm going to help you because I'm going to become your trusted advisor to help you make it happen. Now, the new game is being, you know, we tell our people we're in the transportation business. Okay. Now I don't drive trucks. You know, we're not a trucking company, but we're in the we take a company from where they are to where they want to go.
Nice.
The question is, where do they want to go?
You're the vehicle. I love that. That's deep, man.
I mean, it's not where I want them to go. It's where
they want to go.
When I find out where they want to go, I can help them get there.
Nice.
So in marketing, it's not, we got to sell directories, or we got to sell this, or we got to sell that because we got to make some money. It's what does that client need, and how can I help him get there? And so it's a different game. It's a whole new game, and the playing field is different. And so we have to. So when you look at the selling cycle, now you got to look at the buying cycle. And let me just tell you the 4 phases of the buying cycle that are important, because I can tell where a person is in 5 minutes. In 5 minutes, I can tell you if that person is going to either buy or if they're not going to buy. Can you believe that?
That you can kind of pick up on that, but go ahead. So I'm going to chime in here in a minute. Go ahead.
Okay. So the very first thing is the client may be satisfied. He may be totally satisfied, okay, with where he's at. Right. If he's totally satisfied, why am I wasting my time?
Yep.
And so I put him in my file for a year from now, and maybe I talk to him again and see if he's still satisfied. The second thing about the buying cycle is that he becomes dissatisfied. Okay, he's dissatisfied with where he's at, but he doesn't know what he wants yet. Okay, so I got to figure out, okay, are you dissatisfied? Now, he's not ready to buy, he's just dissatisfied. Then the third focus is they're getting ready. Okay, I'm helping them get ready.
Mm-hmm.
And then finally, he's ready to go. Okay, and a lot of guys miss that because they're still back on trying to help them get ready. Well, there's some cycles everywhere the guy says, yeah, okay, let's do it, man. I mean, that's a pretty clear cycle. Okay, I'm ready to go. Right. So it's what they want, not what I want. I'm going to help them get what they want, but you got to recognize whether they're satisfied, dissatisfied, getting ready, or they're absolutely ready to go.
Nice. Very nice. Very well put there. Huh. So while you're in this scenario and you're having this conversation, what are some questions? Because some of our members here that are talking to business owners on a daily basis, what are some of the key questions you're asking these guys?
Where do you want to go? I ask the question, I tell people, I'm in the business of helping you get from where you are to where you want to go. You probably want new clients, right? And I get that. Yeah, I need more clients. Or right. You want to retain some clients that you're losing, right? Okay. So is that what you want to do? Is that where you want to go? You got to figure out where they want to go. Okay. So then when you say, okay, they say, okay, I want to go here, or I want to go there. Say, okay, so if I can help you get there, does that make sense? Okay, I got a dog for just barking. But so he says, so I say, does that make sense? If I can help you get there, would you listen? And yeah, okay. So then you got to figure out how to get the person to where he wants to go. Okay, now you may have several scenarios, but you got to help figure that out. And then one of the key, it's not, sometimes it's what you say and how you say it.
Right.
For example, if I say something to somebody and I'm a real believer that you got to know what to say. For example, let's go further. If someone says, I'm just not ready to do something, and they say, or give me a couple of days to think about this, or I got to think about this. Well, that's a real indicator they're not ready yet. Okay, or that they don't understand. So I'll turn around. I'll say something like this. I'll say, well, that's okay, but let me ask you a question. There's probably something you don't understand yet. What is it that you don't understand? So I try to get that, and then I'll say, if they still say, well, I want to think about it, or I want to do this, or I'll say, okay, I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll call you in about 2 days, and we can make a decision then. Is that fair enough?
Nice.
Now, write that down, because if that statement, is that fair enough, will make you thousands of dollars. Because I'll tell you what, in 10 years of saying, is that fair enough, I've only had one guy who said no. That's not fair enough. I don't even know what it was about now, but I only had one guy tell me it's not fair.
Oh, that's funny. So what'd you do after that?
Huh?
What did you do after that? He said, no, it's not fair enough.
Well, he's a lost cause. He's one of those guys that's not ready. So, okay, so whatever. You got to be willing to walk away. I walked away from a deal yesterday.
Right.
Got to be walking. If they're not a right fit, you got to walk away.
That's what I was going to ask you, because sometimes when we're trying to get business, trying to get clients, how do you react to those that is a not fit? Because there are sometimes these people, they start putting off these little signals, and you're like, do I really want to work with him? I mean, how do you go about that?
You're not gonna like what I'm gonna say.
It's okay, we keep it real here, man.
I had this happen to me this last week. A friend of mine, I approached about a solution to a major problem he had. Mm-hmm. And he says, well, give me a week. I got to talk to my wife about blah, blah, blah. And I said, okay, well, when do you want to get together? And he says, next Wednesday. Well, on Tuesday, he writes me a note and says, you know what? We need more time to think about it. So I wrote him a note and I said, listen, let me tell you something. The matter is not, it's really clear what the problem is. The problem is this, okay? But the issue is, you don't trust me enough to make it happen.
No.
Okay. And so I said, I'm not going to delay the issue. You got to tell me yes or no, because you got to make a decision. And because I don't have time next week to do this, I'm going to have to get it done now because of my schedule over the next fall or this coming fall. So what I basically do is I take it away from them. I say, right, okay, maybe this isn't a good fit. Well, he wrote me back and he said, well, give me till Friday because of this or that. And he says, I'm thinking about having you do this. So you know what? He was supposed to call me yesterday. He didn't call me. So I showed up at his place.
I love it.
Knowing full well he's not going to do it. But I walked in and he talked to me, and he made a couple of statements. He's a good friend of mine, okay? And he still doesn't trust that we can pull it off, okay? And so I wrote him a note yesterday, and I said, basically, let me tell you something. And he had talked to me about a couple of things. I said, these are the facts. This is what it's all about. But let me tell you something. The deal is you don't trust us yet. So you really do need to go someplace else, because you won't be a good partner for us.
Wow. Very nice. Very nice. I mean,
yeah, a lot of people don't like to do that, but you got to learn, you got to learn, you got to be able to walk away. Right. Because I've had clients, I walked in and in 10 minutes, they're shaking hands with me. Okay. Because they're ready to go. Why waste your time on the one? Why waste your time worrying about, am I going to get this deal next week, when no, you're probably not going to get that deal next week.
True. That's good, man. That's like someone just said, confidence, and that's powerful, to be confident, to know when to, walk away and say, hey, this is not a good fit for me. I don't think this is going to work out. And, a lot of us out there who might need that client, though, will kind of just keep trying and prying. But don't you think that's a bad thing for them, though, to keep going? I mean.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And we all do it. I do it, too. We all get hungry, and right, we all want that deal. We want that 1,000 or 10,000 or whatever that deal was. But you know what? I've learned in my life, and there again, I still do it at times, but I learned where if they're not going to do it, they're not going to do it. Okay. And you can pretty well tell. If you know that buying cycle, you can pretty well tell. And I ask questions. If they want to hold off, I ask questions like, for example, okay, tell me what you think about what I'm talking about. I'm listening for those buying cycles. I'm
Right.
listening. Well, I'm not sure about it. That says to me he's not ready. Okay. Or if he's saying, Paul, I really think this is a really cool idea. I just need to make sure I get my house in order, that I have the money for it. Okay, I can live with that. But I think that there are times when we allow our pocketbook or our hunger feeling for business to get in the way, when we really should say, hey, you know what? I'll come back to you later. I'm moving on.
Mm.
Okay. Hey,
Yeah.
I'm telling you, this guy's a good friend of mine, but he'll never get my business now because I'm moving on.
Right. Very nice. So that leads up to the question: where do most business people hurt the most?
Where do they hurt the most?
Right.
Oh, wow. You got an hour? Okay. Well, I'll tell you what I think a lot of people don't do. They don't plan ahead. They don't plan their week. They don't plan their month. They don't plan their year. We all heard the thing, if you don't plan, you plan to fail. But I talk to people who on Monday morning don't have a clue where they're going or what they're doing.
Mm.
Okay. And I think that part of the thing is you gotta know what your plan is. Let me give you an example, Lim. I had a client that was a photography client. Okay, a photographer. I had him about 3 years ago, 3 years ago, and it was right after the first year. And I said, "Hey, John," I said, "John, tell me, have you written down your goals for the year yet?" And he says, "No." He says, "I've been too busy." And I said, "Okay." So about 3 months later, I said, "Hey, John, what are those goals you were talking about?" He says, "I don't know. I haven't written them down yet." I'm still waiting. This guy was a client. I'm still waiting 3 years later for his goals,
Right.
and now he wonders why he's not making it financially. Okay.
Wow.
So, but the point of it is to bring it down to where you and I are. Okay. What's your goals for this week? How much money do you have to make this week, and how you going to do it? Okay. And you got to break it down just that way. Okay.
Right.
What do you want to make? I talked to somebody some time ago, and they said, okay, there's two questions you got to know. How much do you need to make this week, and how much do you want to make this week? And then when you need to know how much you need to make, then you can figure out, okay, how am I going to do that? Okay. But if you don't know what you need, how are you ever going to plan and figure out what you're going to do? You're going to be just walking around trying to figure it out. Okay. And then comes inertia, because then you get frustrated, and so you sit around and you don't do anything. Well, go do something.
Oh, wow, man. That's a good topic to ask a lot of owners their goals, because they may just be busy, but if you're really asking them, what are your goals for this week or next week or this month, what do you need to make, whatever, then that's actually breaking down a lot of barriers for them, because
Absolutely.
you're interested in what their goals are, because it's about them, and you want their company to, to strive. And I don't think some of us are asking the right question.
Oh, I totally agree with you. But it comes back to, why are we in business? Okay. I'll tell you why I'm in business. I'm in business. Yeah, I want to make money, but I'm in business to help people. I'm in business to help businesses. So if I can legitimately say, when I walk into a business, hey, I want to help you get more customers. Okay. I don't know how I'm going to do that. I have some ideas, but I don't know how I'm going to do that yet. But if I'm in the seller cycle, I'm going to walk in and say, hey, you need to do this because I need to make money.
Right.
You see what I'm doing? The difference is a buyer cycle, you're going to do what you said. You're going to say, hey, what are your goals? Where are you hurting? What are the things that you need to do? and let me see if I can help you. Okay. And there's a major, major difference. And the business person, we think they know a lot. Let me tell you something.
Oh,
They don't know nothing.
hey, come on, man. Come on.
You know,
Wow. That's funny you say that, because I know a lot of us have the fear of cold calling or walking in or meeting business owners, and we have the notion that, oh, they know everything already, and you cannot do that, because they don't know. Like you said, some don't even know the goals.
right. They don't know. Well, they don't know. And now they may come across like they do, but they don't. I told a client the other day, and I'm not this way. I come across this way, but he just bugged me because he was trying to bully me. Okay. And I said to him, I walked in and we were doing a website for him. And I walked in and I said, his gals were there, and this is a jeweler.
Right.
Okay. And I said, hey, I need to see you in your back room.
Right.
So he walks in the back room, and I start to close the door, and he says, oh, this is a private meeting. I said, yes, sir, it is. And so I closed the door, and I said basically the following to him. I said, let me tell you something. You and I want to work with you, but you're not going to bully me. He said, what do you mean? I said, you're not going to tell me what to do all the time. You're not going to bully me. I'm going to help you if you want help.
Right.
You know what he said to me? He says, you know what? I kind of come across that way sometimes, don't I? I said, yeah, in this case, that's exactly what you did. Now, do you want help or not? And if you want help, this is how I'm going to help you. Well, we walked out of that room, and I'll tell you what, it totally changed things. Okay.
Nice.
All right. But that, you got to be a little gutsy, and I'm old enough that I can be gutsy.
I love it.
And there are some people that can't do that. Well, right. If I just hired a gal out of Kansas, 5 states from me. Okay. And I just told her about that story, and she says, man, I couldn't do that. But she says, I can walk away. And I said, that's exactly what you need to do. You need to be able to say, hey, this is not a good fit. We're walking away.
There you go.
I'll tell you what, if you take it away from somebody, they're almost going to come back to you, and they're going to change, or you don't need them. Now, let me go further though. You can't go into a business and say, what do you need if you're not planning and if you're not a very good business person? So the very first thing, when I went into business in 2005, I was almost 50 years of age. Okay. I had been a pastor, large churches. I've been a very successful sales guy, but I met a man who was 32 years old and was a multi-millionaire. And you know what he said to me? He said, Paul, you're a great guy, but you need to be a businessman. And I started to learn how to be a businessman, and I learned systems. I hate systems, but I live by systems. Okay. And so if you live by systems, but that's what you asked me a little while ago, what is the big problem with a lot of business people? Let's go back. What's the big problem with a lot of people you work with? Mm-hmm. They're not ready.
Right.
They don't know business. They don't know business. How can you teach somebody to do business if they don't do business? Mm. How many of them have really structured themselves to become a business person? Or are they just playing the game?
Yeah, 80% are just playing the game,
Well, yeah. And I told you last night, and I hope you weren't offended, but I told you I don't have time to play games. I really don't. Okay. I run 2 businesses. I have so many projects going on. You don't want to see my office right now, but but the point of it is if you want to do business, you better be a good businessman. You better be smart, and you better learn business. And that's why you're doing what you're doing right now to help people do that. That's cool.
And I was not offended because I could tell that you are a stern, get it out there, get it done type person, which is good, you know.
Yeah,
And
I'm a
when we were
type
talking
A,
this
you
morning,
know. I'm a type A, you know, you're not going to stop me, you know. My wife says to me, don't do any more hobbies, because every time I get a hobby, I start a new business.
Very nice. So let's talk about the key phrase and motivation that you have made thousands in sales over the years, and while others just went home and just neglect to, you know, do.
Well, it's just one more,
Yeah.
you know, and you got to have. I'll tell you, when I first started selling in 1995, okay, and by the way, for you know, as a pastor, it was later I realized I was selling then. Okay, I was selling Jesus then. Okay,
Right.
so but in 2000 and 1995, when I became a sales guy, I created this whole one sheet and laminated it of all the major statements that I needed to think about. And I put that in front of me every single day. One of those was, you can succeed.
Mm.
You can succeed. One of them was just one more. One of them became lousy, okay, with or without someone else. Um, but just one more makes me more money than anything else, because what happens is when everybody else is doing something else, and guess what, I'm thinking, you know, there are times when my wife, you know, because I'm a photographer, okay, as well as a marketer, and I tell my clients who are photographers, I say, let me tell you, the difference between you and me is the following. Okay, you're a photographer first.
Right.
You don't know much about marketing. You don't know much about marketing, but you're a photographer first. Let me tell you the difference. I'm a sales guy first. I'm a photographer second.
Right. Right.
Okay, and so I'm always selling myself. I'm always selling myself, and I'm thinking my business almost all the time. You know, because I'm thinking, and this is true for marketers. You know, when you walk into a restaurant, are you thinking about that meal? Or are you thinking about that potential business?
That is so true, man. That is so true.
You know,
Wow.
if you go to, you know, and I've done this for years. This has been part of my life. That's what making a business person is all about. Is you know, you got to stop. I don't know if you've ever read the book. Forget his name now. Michael Gerber. Have you ever read any of Michael Gerber? The you know, the E Myth Revisited. Okay, he talks about if you're starting a business, it's probably because you want to do things different than your boss did. You want to make better widgets. So you're successful making better widgets. Okay, all of a sudden you got to hire people. Well, somewhere down the line, if you become an excellent marketer, you got to hire people. Okay. Well, what happens is you still stay a widget maker. You don't become an entrepreneur, and you got to become an entrepreneur mind. You got to start thinking entrepreneurship. Okay, we're doing a national campaign that starts in October. We're already 3 years out now, thinking what's happening in the next 3 years, and we've been working at this with another guy for 3 months. You know what happened in January of 2015? I didn't even know this was going to happen. I was speaking about our project at the time in Florida. This guy comes up and says, and I knew of him, but he comes up and he says, I want to buy your system. 2 months later, we're talking on the phone, and he says, hey, we need to do something together, and we can make this happen. And I'm going to tell you, he's 40 years in the photography business.
Right.
I'm 6 years in the photography business. I said, well, Chris, you certainly have the credibility because you know a lot of people. And he says, let me tell you something. You got the credibility because you got the system.
Nice.
Okay. So you got to surround yourselves with positive people who know what they're doing and can make it happen. And I could have said, you know what, it's never going to happen because I'm not, you know, I don't have those contacts. Well, you know what? It's going to happen.
Right.
It's going to happen because um, little old me, I ended up talking to Fuji Corporation 2 days ago on the phone. They're now probably going to become a sponsor for us. Okay.
Very nice.
But it doesn't happen unless you pick up the phone.
You know what, brother? You can say that again. You can keep talking about that for another hour or two.
I have a mastermind group that does not cost anything. Okay. My mastermind group is called Making Rain Mastermind. It's a Facebook account. Okay. It's a closed group, but we'll accept anybody who wants to be in business. They don't have to be a marketer, but any kind of business. And it's just begun. We just have less than 20 members, but we have a lot of your members. Some of your members are part of it. And I just put up there some stuff that talks about this kind of thing, that basically says, I wrote an article the other day, or put up an article the other day about inertia. Well, inertia happens because we get depressed, we get bored, whatever the case might be. And so what do? We sit around. Well, get up and do something. Go do something. Go make that phone call. Go, well, you know what? He may not talk to me. Well, he won't talk to you if you don't get on the phone, and he won't talk to you if you don't walk in the door. I want the guy to turn around and say, oh, no, Donihue's here again, Not quite, but you know how it goes.
Right. Oh, my goodness. Speaking who is your past influence? Who has influenced you the most to move forward in your business all through these years? I'm sure there's several people, but
yeah, there's several people. John Maxwell is a great leadership guy, and he's written a lot of books on leadership. I know John, but I paid $5,000 to a guy called Mitch. What's his name? He'll kill me. He's a good friend.
Yeah, I wrote Mitch, and you're like, no, not Mitch. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, it's Mitch. It'll come to me anyway. I paid $5,000 to him. Okay, and some of these ideas are his ideas. I just took them and ran with them. Okay, I'll come up with that name, and it'll come to me in a minute. But he's been influential to me because what he did was he said to me, he said to my partner and I, you guys have to stop thinking about stepping outside the box. You got to throw the stupid box away. And that's what we're talking about this whole hour, Lem, is you got to throw the box away. You got to think differently. I can buy all the product in the world to try to sell the product, but if I don't think differently, it isn't going to happen. It's not going to happen. I can tell you, I can create the business. I can do, who would have thought in 7 months that we would have gone into 3 states? When 7 months earlier than that, we were part-time.
Right.
Okay. Who would have thought that in 2007 we were a nationwide company when 2 years earlier than that we had just barely begun? And it is because you throw the stupid box away and you start going after. What was the key for us? The key was networking. We found a guy who led us to 1,200 companies, and we went nationwide like that.
Very nice. Very nice. Huh. Well, this has been awesome. I wish you have come up with that name because we're coming to the end of our segment here. But I'm like, who is this guy?
You know what?
No worries. We'll put it on our site, and you can tell us later.
I'll tell you later. He's gonna kill me because but he just wrote me a letter just the other day because I told him what was happening, and he said, "Let me tell you something. You guys have worked so hard. to make this happen. He says, I believe you've thrown the box away, you know?
Right.
So, you know, it's so key. He wrote the book, The New Game of Sales, okay? But and some other kinds of things. But it's a new game. If you're living the old game, you're going to fail today.
You know what? You said it. I mean, going from selling to actually being the vehicle for a company, that's a whole new concept. And I love that because, trust me, they want to sit back and ride with you, knowing that you're going in through the right path. That's Rebecca put it. And that's amazing stuff right there. And I hope our audience out there has taken notes today because this has been really awesome. Paul, how can people find you?
Well, they can find me a couple ways. One way is join our mastermind group, which is called Making Rain Mastermind. It's a closed group on Facebook, Making Rain Mastermind, okay? And we accept any business person there, okay? It's not just for marketers. The other thing is contact me through pauldonihue.com, DONIHUE, pauldonihue.com. You can reach me that way.
Awesome, 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 man. I'm just so grateful that you came on today. This has been amazing. I knew it would be. This is great. I love your style. I love what you're doing. And I know when it comes to photography, it's not easy. And you have shown it can be done. And those of you in the audience right now that has your photography business, this is the perfect vehicle for you to get connected with Paul and his crew and get inside of that group. We'll have that group on our page on SaturdayCupWithJoe.com. We'll also have Paul's bio there, and you can go through the information. I know you guys are going to watch the replay. You're going to love it. Take notes. And we'll also have the influence person who influenced him the most. Yeah, we will. Let me tell you that the mastermind group is not just for photographers. And actually, we have another one for them. But if they want to know more about us and read some of the stuff we're doing, go to todaysbiz.com. Todaysbiz.com, and they'll read some of the 88 things I think about life. Very nice. Very nice. And you've heard it, guys. We're getting lots of questions in, but you know we have to end. So with that being said, guys, thank you for watching Saturday Cup of Joe. This has been awesome with Paul Donihue. Like you said, get in that group. It's a closed group. It's for business people. If you're in business, get in there. You're going to learn. And I always say knowledge is power. You know, I had a guy who says, you know, you need to take action. But right here today and this time, get in there, learn, and get busy. Because there's no need for inertia to hit you the wrong way. You want inertia to hit you the right way for you to get to the top. Lead the pack. Don't go back there and just be in the middle of going with the flow. Be the leader of the pack. Paul, thank you so much for being here, man. Thanks, Lem. I appreciate you giving me a chance to talk to you. Awesome, guys. We'll see you. Have a great and safe weekend, and we see you back here at Saturday Cup of Joe. Have a great weekend, guys.